Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and the Ballgame. They're the team to beat on paper on Sports Radio 95.3 FM and 1350 AM. The Ticket.
Johnny's at the Seahawk game tonight. Bob Behler sitting in for him. Mike Prater and JP in the studio as well. Of course, that being the RowPaint.com studio here on Sports Radio The Ticket. We promised you a chance to win a pair of tickets to Boise State's home opener with UT Martin every day this week. We're going to do something a little different each day to kind of test people. And today we're going to see who was paying attention.
Nice.
Going back about a half an hour on Bronco Focus, Prater, I gave 4 players that I thought really came through for Boise State in the New Mexico game. The first person that calls the studio and can give JP 3 out of the 4 players that I said came through will win the pair of tickets.
Nice.
And again, that's the number, 208-424-9300. Go.
I like it, Bob. I like it. I'm going to give you a hint. There's at least one offensive player and one defensive player in there.
Yeah, at least one. Yeah. One special teams player, too.
There you go. There
so
you go.
You got your chance. Let's see who's going to be first to get the chance to get the tickets for a beautiful 76-degree afternoon with UT Martin. Haven't been a lot of beautiful afternoons for the Mountain West as a league this year. The Sun Belt, everything's coming up sunshine for them with their 3 money game wins this weekend. But the Mountain West hasn't had much. I think Air Force's win against Colorado is the one you would so far. It was 41-10, not played in great weather. I think that's the one that gets the gold star so far.
Can you imagine a tweet, like if Mike Prater's sitting on his couch on a Saturday afternoon and Mike Prater just put out a tweet that said, the Mountain West just beat Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even fathom typing in that tweet with the Mountain West. Even when the Mountain West is good, I can't imagine typing in that tweet. And here is the Sun Belt pulling off all 3 of them. That's crazy to me, Bob. And the Mountain West, kind of the complete opposite.
Well, you lose 2 games to FCS opponents. Utah State lost to Weber State. And Weber's usually pretty good. They're usually a playoff team. I mean, they contend for it.
Yep.
35-7. And then Incarnate Word. I'll bet you most of our listeners wouldn't even know they were a college in Texas. And they beat Nevada 55-41.
People that follow college football probably know that for one reason and one reason only. Isn't that where Ricky Williams went for a week or a year? Didn't he have something to do with Incarnate Word way back in the day? For whatever reason, I remember Incarnate Word and Ricky Williams hanging out together, but I could just be dreaming that. The Mountain West is dreaming of having a good football season right now. The Mountain West is having probably one of its worst seasons in the history of this conference. I got some numbers here, Bob. Through the first 3 weeks of the season, they were 3-7 in non-conference games this weekend. For the first 3 weeks of the season, they are 12-14 in non-conference games. That's everybody. Last year, for perspective, they won 35 of 55 non-conference games, a 64% winning percentage, and they won 5 of 6 bowl games. The Mountain West had a spectacular year last year. The Mountain West is having a complete and total opposite bummer of a year this year. And if you even want to look a little bit higher than that, they went 1-4 this weekend against Power 5. They are now 1-10 against Power 5 opponents. And all but 2 of those games have been decided by double digits. They're not only losing Power 5 games, they're getting blown out in Power 5 games. They're losing crappy games, as you just pointed out. Even Colorado State at home to Middle Tennessee is bad. That's not good. The Mountain West right now is really, really, really struggling. I thought Fresno State could hold up the banner. That was a really bad optical loss for them on TV the other night. It happened late, but that's going to haunt them all season long, I think. Bob, I'm worried about the Mountain West this year.
One of the teams that lost in the Mountain West, I'm actually going to applaud. I thought San Jose State gave Auburn and Brian Harsin everything they wanted. Yes. Auburn won 24-16. I think it was a little heat. It was a little humidity. It was a little just better players out there. There was one touchdown drive. I don't know that Auburn threw the ball once on the drive and they got the touchdown, but that was a shocker. I thought that would be a 3-4 touchdown game. San Jose took it down into the fourth quarter.
If San Jose State wins that game, we might be having a completely different show today, because Brian Harsin may be at the grocery line with Scott Frost. I mean, that's the kind of game that's going to get you fired when you're on the hot seat. Scott Frost had a couple of them, and it took them a couple of different weeks to get to that point. But if San Jose State beats Auburn, that's Brian Harsin. He's on life support. If at best he's on life support, so I'll give them that. And obviously, Air Force is turning out to be the class of the Mountain West right now. That's the one Power 5 victory, beating Colorado at home, a very, very, very poor Colorado team. And Air Force right now looks really, really good. Brad Roberts is just running all over college football as we speak. If Coletto from Oregon State's running all over the Boise States and the Fresno States of the world, what's Brad Roberts going to do once he gets into the meat of this conference season? Air Force scares me to death. Everything else in the Mountain West scares me to death for completely different reasons.
Weber State beat Utah State 35-7. You remember the old game show, To Tell the Truth, where they say, will the real so-and-so please stand up?
Yes, sir.
Well, UConn made Utah State look kind of weak in the opener. Utah State won, but they look weak doing it.
Yes, sir.
And then everybody says, well, maybe they were looking past them to Alabama. And they go down and lose 55-0 to Alabama. It was 41-0 at the half.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, well, Alabama's really that good. Maybe Utah State is a real faker.
At this point, they have to have a complete 180 to turn this season around. Utah State was supposed to be good. Utah State has tons of players coming back. Utah State has tons of players coming back in the right positions, and they are a terrible, terrible, terrible football team right now. And unfortunately, it even got uglier this weekend.
JP, you've got the audio. At the end of the game, I guess Utah State fans are at sometime during the game booed on a 35-7 loss, and it prompted this from head coach Blake Anderson post-game.
I don't know if people are going to want to hear this, but that's the same quarterback that won a Mountain West Conference championship last year, the first one ever at this university. That's coming off a knee injury in less than 9 months. And he's not the only person making mistakes. So it's real easy to sit in the stands and boo. And I want nothing better than Cooper Lagasse to have a great career here when his time has come. But he had opportunity to win that job in the offseason, and he did not. And he's a great number 2, and he's going to be a really good number 1. But right now, Logan Bonner's a starting quarterback. He deserves that opportunity, and he also deserves respect. And I don't know how to say that any nicer. A lot of our fan base showed true colors today, and it was embarrassing. They can be mad at me, and hey, we didn't get it done. We didn't win. But there's plenty of blame on that sideline to go around, not just one guy. And he did help us win the conference title last year, and it ain't been that long ago. I wish people would remember that. Pull for him, not against him. Cooper's going to get his opportunity. He's going to be a great football player. And I love him to death. But I'm not going to be swayed by people in the crowd. We're going to pull tighter together on the sideline, as a matter of fact, because apparently that's what we got.
Ooh, I'm not sure you recover from that. So the fans, they show their true colors today.
That was a line that was you probably shouldn't have said.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I understand defending your player, because if he took it that they wanted the other kid who won the bowl game when Bonner got hurt in the game, I can see defending that. But I think you don't say that, because now, you could say, come on, guys. Everything else he said, I think, was in bounds.
This is a tough one. I mean, this team is struggling. He's kind of an outsider there. He's never really coached in the West before. I don't see a lot of emotional connections with Coach Anderson. If he doesn't get this team organized and back on track, and right now they're terrible. They might be the worst team. They might be worse than New Mexico. The way that this football team is playing around. New Mexico, at least, guy has a fairly decent defense, and I think they can stay in some games with defense. Right now, Utah State is just playing bad football. And when you call out the fans like that, that's not a good sign, Bob.
This week they have a bye. Good or bad?
Probably good. They probably need to reset. They probably need to refocus. They probably need to get back together. I'd probably disappear for 10 days and just kind of rally the troops and just focus on yourself. Stay internally. Don't go outside. Maybe even cut out the media. I don't like saying that, but it's gotten really, really bad. And the intensity, especially when a coach says like that, he's going to take a lot of heat down there for that. So that probably comes at a very, very good time. Lay low for a couple weeks. Who do they play?
UNLV. I think they win that one pretty easily next week.
That's in Logan?
Yeah. Although UNLV only lost by 6 to Cal.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Right now, I'd call that game a toss-up. I would absolutely.
I'll tell you what, if you lose that one, you're going to be in a slide because then you got to go to BYU and then a home game with Air Force.
Ooh. If they don't, if they start that, that's the Blake Anderson's in trouble
this year.
He's in trouble. Period.
Looking at some other Mountain West games, we've got league game on Friday, much in the same spot as the Boise State New Mexico game was. Air Force at Wyoming this week. That's the only league game.
I told you that the Mountain West is 1-10 against Power 5 teams. The Power 5 schedule. I'm going to give you the 4 games this week, Bob. You tell me where the win is. Colorado State at Washington, Fresno at
Washington
USC.
State.
Washington State, you're right. Fresno State at USC, Nevada at Iowa, and San Diego State at Utah. Where's the win?
Oh.
0 for 4?
If you ask me to bet, I'm going 0 for 4. But if you ask me to pick a winner, I think I would say Colorado State, although they've been poor.
Washington State's off to a great start. It's 0-4. So essentially what's going to happen here, if the Mountain West is 1-10 against the P5 right now, they're going to go 0-4. That's 1-14. They only have 2 after this weekend. There's only 2 more Power 5 opponents on the schedule. September 24th, New Mexico's at LSU. Loss. And then Saturday, October 22nd, UNLV's at Notre Dame. That's a loss. This conference is going to finish 1-16 against Power 5 opponents, Bob. 1-16.
I'll give you something crazy. If you told me one of the 4 is coming through, I think I'd have to go with Fresno. If you told me I had to bet on one, because I don't have any faith in anybody else. I think Fresno's quarterbacks and skill players can do something. I don't think Fresno's defense can stop USC.
No.
But if you told me I had to pick one, I think I would take Fresno.
Yeah, I would too. But it looks like they're going to finish the rest of the season winless. P5. This is one of the worst seasons in the history of Mountain West football.
So we'll see if Mountain West can do anything this week. Again, games against FCS teams. Boise State against UT Martin. Duquesne going to Hawaii. If Hawaii doesn't win that game, Hawaii's going to go winless for the season. And that's it. Everybody else is playing P5. An interesting game will be UTEP against New Mexico. UTEP is Boise State's next opponent. So much like the Fresno Oregon State game, we'll get a chance to see somebody we've played against, somebody we're going to play.
Yep.
When we come back, JP's going to have an update. We've got pro football coming your way at 6 o'clock tonight. Seahawks and Broncos. More to come on Sports Radio, The Ticket.
You're listening to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and the Ballgame on Sports Radio 95.3 FM.